I'll give them whatever they want, just make them stay quiet. AOC's voice echoed clearly through the secret audio recording that she never thought would see the light of day. When that recording was released, the progressive world's most trusted name became its biggest enemy overnight. But what America discovered in the shocking conclusion would change everything they thought they knew about political courage. The recording surfaced on a cold Tuesday morning in March, dropped anonymously to every major news outlet simultaneously. The timestamp showed 11:47 p.m. on a Friday night 3 weeks earlier, and the location metadata indicated it came from Conference Room C in the Hart Senate Office building. The audio quality was crystal clear, capturing every word of what appeared to be Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez making deals with her conservative enemies. Within hours, the political world erupted. Conservative media outlets celebrated the apparent hypocrisy of the progressive firebrand, while liberal commentators struggled to defend what seemed like an indefensible betrayal. The recording featured AOC's unmistakable voice discussing policy compromises that directly contradicted everything she had publicly advocated for during her meteoric rise to political prominence. "We can work something out," her voice said clearly on the tape. "I understand your concerns about the Green New Deal. Maybe we can find middle ground that satisfies your donors while still moving forward." The words sent shockwaves through the environmental movement, where AOC had been viewed as an uncompromising champion of aggressive climate action. But the most damaging quote came near the end of the recording. "I'll give them whatever they want. Just make them stay quiet." The statement suggested a willingness to abandon her principles in exchange for political peace, transforming her image from fearless progressive warrior to calculating political opportunist overnight. The backlash was swift and brutal. Progressive organizations that had once elevated AOC as their standard-bearer issued statements expressing deep concern about the revelations. The Democratic Socialist Twitter account, which had regularly amplified her messages, posted a thread questioning whether AOC had been co-opted by the establishment. Young activists who had viewed her as the authentic voice of their generation felt personally betrayed. Conservative media personalities couldn't contain their glee. Fox News ran the story as breaking news for 6 straight hours, with hosts playing the audio clips repeatedly while political analysts dissected what they called the fall of false progressivism. Talk radio buzzed with celebrations about AOC finally being exposed as a fraud, with hosts suggesting the recording proved progressive. Politics was all performance with no substance. Social media became a battlefield. The hashtag #FakeProgressive trended for 12 hours, with former supporters posting disappointed messages about feeling misled by someone they had trusted. "I donated to her campaigns, volunteered for her causes, and defended her against attacks," wrote one viral tweet with 50,000 retweets. "How could she betray everything we believed in?" But buried within the political chaos, a few observers noticed something strange about the timeline. The meeting had allegedly taken place on a Friday night when AOC was documented attending a climate rally in Boston, over 400 miles away from Washington, D.C. Security footage from the Massachusetts event showed her speaking to crowds at exactly the same time the recording was supposedly made. Sarah Martinez, an investigative journalist for The Intercept who had covered AOC extensively, began digging deeper into the recording's origins. While other reporters focused on the political implications, Martinez examined the technical aspects of the audio file. Her initial analysis revealed sophisticated editing markers suggesting the recording had been manipulated, though she needed more evidence before publishing anything. Meanwhile, AOC herself remained suspiciously silent. Her usual prolific Twitter account went dark. Her press office issued only a brief statement saying they were reviewing the matter, and she canceled all scheduled interviews. The silence was deafening for someone known for her immediate and fierce responses to attacks. Critics interpreted her quiet as admission of guilt, while supporters hoped she was preparing a devastating counterattack. The political establishment sensed blood in the water. Republican senators who had been frustrated by AOC's effective questioning during committee hearings seized the opportunity to demand investigations. Senator Ted Cruz called for ethics hearings, while Senator Josh Hawley suggested the recording revealed corruption at the highest levels of the Democratic Party. Even within her own party, cracks began to show. Moderate Democrats, who had often clashed with AOC's progressive agenda, subtly distanced themselves from the controversy. House Speaker Nancy Pelosi's office declined to offer full-throated support, instead issuing a measured statement about letting appropriate processes handle the matter. The crisis deepened when additional details about the alleged meeting emerged. Anonymous sources claimed the gathering included not just conservative senators, but also corporate lobbyists representing oil companies, pharmaceutical giants, and Wall Street firms. If true, it would represent exactly the kind of behind-the-scenes dealing that AOC had built her career opposing. Progressive organizations faced an existential crisis. The Democratic Socialists of America scheduled an emergency meeting to discuss AOC's membership status. Environmental groups that had featured her prominently in fundraising materials quietly removed her photos from websites. The movement that had rallied around her uncompromising stance suddenly questioned whether their champion had been compromised all along. The pressure reached a breaking point when AOC's own staff began leaking concerns to reporters. Anonymous quotes suggested internal divisions about how to handle the crisis, with some advisors allegedly pushing for immediate damage control while others counseled a more aggressive defense. The leaks painted a picture of chaos within AOC's operation, further undermining her position. But Sarah Martinez wasn't satisfied with the narrative everyone else was accepting. Her technical analysis had revealed inconsistencies in the audio recording that suggested sophisticated manipulation. Voice patterns didn't quite match AOC's natural speaking rhythm, and spectral analysis showed signs of digital splicing. The journalist decided to investigate further, reaching out to forensic audio experts for deeper analysis. Dr. Robert Chen, a digital forensic specialist at MIT, agreed to examine the recording using advanced analytical tools. His preliminary findings were startling. The audio contained multiple spliced segments with AOC's voice extracted from various public speeches and reassembled to create entirely new statements. The phrase, "I'll give them whatever they want," appeared to be cobbled together from at least 3 different sources. This is sophisticated deepfake audio, Dr. Chen explained to Martinez during a recorded interview. Someone with significant technical resources and access to extensive samples of Congresswoman Ocasio-Cortez's voice created this fabrication. The quality is almost professional grade, but the forensic evidence is clear. This recording is fake. Martinez knew she had explosive material, but she needed more sources to confirm the findings. She reached out to other experts, all of whom independently verified that the recording showed clear signs of manipulation. The evidence was overwhelming. AOC had been framed by someone with sophisticated technical capabilities and detailed knowledge of her schedule. While Martinez prepared her investigation for publication, another bombshell dropped. A whistleblower within a major conservative political action committee contacted her with internal documents showing a coordinated campaign to discredit AOC using artificially generated audio. The operation, codenamed False Prophet, had been months in planning and execution. The documents revealed a multi-million-dollar effort involving opposition research firms, digital manipulation specialists, and a network of friendly media outlets prepared to amplify the false narrative. The goal wasn't just to damage AOC's reputation, but to create broader skepticism about progressive authenticity, potentially weakening the entire movement. The whistleblower, identified only as Source Delta for security reasons, provided email chains showing how the conspiracy unfolded. Conservative operatives had collected hundreds of hours of AOC's public statements, creating a comprehensive voice database for manipulation purposes. They had also conducted surveillance to identify times when she would be away from Washington, allowing them to fabricate meetings that couldn't be easily verified. Most disturbing was the coordination with mainstream media figures who had agreed to treat the fabricated recording as authentic without conducting basic verification. The documents showed promises of exclusive follow-up stories in exchange for prominent coverage of the initial false narrative. Martinez published her investigation on a Thursday morning, exactly 1 week after the original recording had surfaced. Her article titled "The Anatomy of a Political Assassination: How AOC Was Framed by a Sophisticated Disinformation Campaign" included forensic analysis, whistleblower documents, and expert testimonies proving the recording was fabricated. The revelation sent shockwaves through the political world, but in the opposite direction from the original story. Conservative media outlets that had celebrated AOC's apparent downfall suddenly found themselves defending their failure to verify the recording. Several prominent hosts were forced to issue corrections, though many buried their retractions in less prominent time slots. Progressive organizations that had distanced themselves from AOC began issuing apologies for doubting her without evidence. The Democratic Socialists of America released a statement acknowledging they had failed their own standards of due process by rushing to judgment. Environmental groups quietly restored AOC's presence on their websites and materials, but the most powerful response came from AOC herself. Breaking her week-long silence, she held a press conference in the Capitol building surrounded by progressive colleagues who had initially wavered in their support. Her statement was both defiant and gracious, demonstrating the political skill that had made her a target in the first place. "This attack on me was really an attack on everyone who believes in progressive values," she said, her voice strong and clear. "They knew they couldn't defeat our ideas, so they tried to destroy the messenger instead. But what they didn't understand is that our movement is bigger than any one person, including me." She continued, "I want to thank the journalists and experts who did the hard work of uncovering the truth while others rushed to judgment. This is why we need independent media and why we must always verify before we amplify. The truth will always emerge, but we must be committed to finding it." The press conference became a masterclass in political communication. AOC didn't just defend herself, she used the attack as evidence of why progressive politics was necessary. "They spent millions of dollars trying to silence one voice from the Bronx," she observed. "Imagine what they're willing to do to silence an entire movement." The fabricated recording scandal ultimately strengthened AOC's position rather than weakening it. Progressives who had doubted her felt guilty about their quick abandonment and became more loyal than before. Moderate Democrats who had kept their distance were forced to acknowledge that she had been unfairly targeted. Even some conservatives expressed discomfort with the sophisticated disinformation campaign. The incident also exposed the fragility of political narratives in the digital age. A sophisticated lie had nearly destroyed a political career and damaged an entire movement before the truth emerged. It served as a wake-up call about the need for better verification processes and critical thinking in consuming political media. Sarah Martinez won several journalism awards for her investigation, but she insisted the real heroes were the whistleblower who risked their career to expose the truth and the forensic experts who provided scientific analysis. "This case shows why we need more technical expertise in newsrooms," she said. "As disinformation becomes more sophisticated, our verification methods must evolve too." The conservative operatives behind Operation False Prophet faced congressional investigations and criminal referrals for fraud and election interference. Several resigned from their positions, while others faced civil lawsuits from AOC and progressive organizations. The scandal created lasting damage to the credibility of opposition research firms and highlighted the legal risks of sophisticated disinformation campaigns. For AOC, the experience was simultaneously traumatic and empowering. She had watched her reputation nearly destroyed by lies, felt the pain of allies turning against her, and experienced the isolation of being politically radioactive. But she had also witnessed the power of truth-telling journalism and the resilience of movements built on authentic principles. In her first major speech after the scandal, delivered at a climate rally in her Bronx district, AOC reflected on the lessons learned. "They tried to use our own values against us," she told the crowd. "They knew we would hold our leaders accountable, so they gave us fake accountability to distract us from real work." She continued, "But we learned something important. Our commitment to truth and justice is our strength, not our weakness. We just need to make sure we're seeking real truth, not manufactured narratives designed to divide us." The scandal became a case study in political science courses across the country. examining how disinformation campaigns operate and how democratic movements can protect themselves from sophisticated attacks. Students learned about the importance of verification, the danger of rushing to judgment, and the resilience of truth in the face of well-funded lies. AOC's approval ratings actually increased following the revelation that she had been framed. Polling showed that voters appreciated her grace under pressure and her refusal to attack those who had initially doubted her. The scandal transformed her from a polarizing figure into someone who had been vindicated by evidence, giving her moral authority she hadn't possessed before. The incident also strengthened relationships within the progressive movement. Organizations that had wavered in their support implemented new protocols for handling allegations against allied figures. The experience created bonds forged through shared lessons about the importance of solidarity in the face of sophisticated attacks. Looking back, the fabricated recording scandal represented a turning point in AOC's political career. She had survived the most sophisticated attack yet mounted against a progressive politician and emerged stronger than before. The experience taught her valuable lessons about the importance of patience, the power of truth, and the resilience of movements built on authentic foundations. The young congresswoman from the Bronx had proven that integrity and evidence would ultimately triumph over money and manipulation. In doing so, she had not only saved her own career but strengthened the entire progressive movement for battles yet to come. Click subscribe to catch future high-stakes political confrontations that shape our democratic landscape. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you in our next video. God bless you, and God bless America.